Hey everybody, welcome to the Onyx Path Twitch, where you are you've joined us in the middle of Onyx Path Con. Thank you for being here, greatly appreciate it. This is the Running Online Games panel, in which myself and some of the other wonderful folk who put together streamed games for our channel and our partnered channels show up, say hey, talk about the process, answer your questions, and otherwise just kind of hang out and amuse ourselves for the duration of the hour. Let's go ahead and meet our panelists. Starting off with Kelly, if you would please tell us who you are,
Yeah,
what you do, and anything you would care to promote.
fair enough. Hey, everybody, I'm Kelly Clark. I use he and him, and I am the host and professional storyteller, DM, GM guy behind Dork Tales. I'm a writer, performer, and Aquarius. All of these things you can pay me for over at twitch.tv/dorktales, youtube.com/dorktales, or wherever podcasts are illicitly traded on the black market. Besides that, other projects that we have in the work right now, God, we got so much stuff in development. If you like Onyx Path stuff, come watch our vampire games and our mage games, because you're like that. And convince Onyx Path to like sponsor an actual play of Curseborn when it comes out.
There you go. All
Send
those
send
things.
messages.
All of those things accurate. Speaking of Curseborn, let's move to Corbin, who ran a Curseborn game for us at this
Yeah,
very convention.
in this very convention, and on Tuesdays, not Tuesdays, on Sundays at 8 p.m. on Twitch right here. I'm the Awkward GM Corbin, he, him. You can find me on YouTube at the Awkward GM Corbin, and sometimes I'm on Blue Sky, and most of the time I'm in the Oxpath Discord because that's where my hyperfixation is for the last 2 years.
And you're
4 years.
also the brilliant mind behind um,
Oh yes.
our bot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was doing work on a dice bot for Onyx Path, and I reached out. I was doing it for myself, and then I reached out and I was like, "Hey, I'm doing this," and yeah, it worked out.
And the
God
rest is
bless that
history.
dice bot. It's so good.
It is very good. And right now, if you head over to the Onyx Path Discord, there is a link for adding that to your own server. So it's actively installed in the Onyx Path Discord. You can
Yeah.
use the bot right there in the Discord. There's a channel, I believe, for it, and a channel for reporting any bugs. But there's also a link provided there where you can add it to your own Discord servers for all of your DiceBot needs. So thank you very much for creating that, Corbin.
You're
And
welcome.
last but not least, Scott, who's also run some games already so far this weekend.
Indeed, yeah. My name is Scott Kuban. I run Simulacra TV on Twitch and YouTube. I do a lot of actual plays, mostly Trinity Continuum. I've run Steam Wars and Aberrant game here at the con already. And I have an ongoing Trinity Continuum Aeon actual play that plays right here on the Onyx Path channel and is archived on my YouTube channel. Please do check all that. All of my actual plays are archived on my YouTube channel, so there's plenty of Trinity Continuum and other games there. I'm also bookable on Start Playing Games for Trinity Continuum, World of Darkness, anything you want to pay me to run. Just look for my name, Scott Cuban. And that is yet another form of running an online game.
It is. There are many forms of running online games, and we will be discussing all of them, I am certain. But since you did bring up Start Playing, I also do want to mention that we have pro story guides for various game lines, all signed up to run games this weekend. If you head over to startplaying.games and the link I just showed, you can book one of those games. I myself have a game set up for the World Below Sunday night after. That if we get enough players, I'll be running the World Below for you. So if you want to check that game out, perfect opportunity to do so. And I'm Travis. I'm he, they, and when I'm not running games, I'm writing them. You usually find me around here. And yeah, that's the thing. So, as mentioned, this is our running online games panel. That can mean Streaming, which we all do. That can mean pro DMing, which I think we all do at this point. I could
Not
correct me if I'm wrong.
I dabble, but I haven't done it in a while.
Well, you should redabble. Dabble back up. Dabble back
I'm
up.
thinking about it. I have ideas.
Yeah, I
Dab
recommend it. Recommend it. Yeah, but that can also mean actual plays, things along those lines. So, if you have any questions as you're watching this panel, feel free to type question in all caps at the very beginning of your statement, and then you can also use the chips of Onyx currency to highlight your question, so we're sure we see it. But to kick things off, I guess, and let's go in the opposite order that we did our intros. Scott, how long have you been doing some form of running games online at this point?
Oh, geez. I think it's probably, let's see. I think I really started in 2017. And I really got going more in 2018. So probably about 8 years now. Um, Started really doing actual play of various stripes and varieties. Um, some of them on my own channel, and some of them here on Onyx Path, because I do a lot of Onyx Path games. Um, More recently, I've gotten more into the pro DMing side of things, because cats get sick, and that's a way to pay for that.
There's a way to pay for
But
that.
it's been very fun to do so. I've enjoyed a lot of the games that I've run on there, and it's fun to meet new people via that means, as
Sure.
well as get money for doing the thing that I love the most in the world.
Yeah, it's really I've found it to be a really cool um, way to meet people, a really cool way to earn some extra loot, and a really cool way to just kind of explore your passions in a way that you wouldn't otherwise, do.
Hmm.
I'm a huge fan of Start Playing. Um, and you mentioned you do a lot of Onyx Path games. Is that what when you started doing actual plays, was it first Onyx Path stuff?
Uh, no, I don't think it was the first Onyx Path game. I think the first one that I ran was a Vampire Fifth Edition game.
Okay, right on.
Which was currently semi under the umbrella of Onyx Path in the era that I ran it, but is now no longer.
There were some
Um,
bugs.
yeah, there you made some. Yeah, I think you made the best V5 books.
I can take
But
no credit for that. I was
I
was
well,
not
No,
present.
you
you and the
specifically,
royal
Travis.
you, the royal
The
you.
royal you.
But yeah, yes, I think that was the first major one that I started. And then as Trinity Continuum came into being, I started diving whole hog into those because they were my favorite games back in the old days under the White Wolf umbrella. And when they were resurrected, I took great joy in running them in as many fashions and forms as I can, and have continued to do so.
Yeah, which we very much appreciate. By the way, as a huge fan of the Trinity Continuum myself, I love seeing you run stuff. It's very very cool. Good things. Highly
Mhm.
recommend if you've not yet done so and you're watching this, to check out the stuff at Simulacra's. All your streams eventually go to live on your YouTube,
Yeah,
correct?
they very quickly go up on my YouTube channel in one way or another, whether they start there or start on Onyx Path.
Sweet. Yep. So definitely check those out on YouTube. High quality play. Um, how about you, Corbin? What got you started running games online?
So so I got into RPGs around the time when the internet was really big. So we were doing Skyping in players when they were on vacation and stuff like that, or in different schools, but that never worked out for us. And for a while I just was like, I'll never do it again. It's terrible. And then I think 2012, a bunch of my friends from college were like, all want to play games together, but we're across the New England area, so we can't really meet up again. And I started running games online through Skype or Google Meet or whatever. It wasn't until 2020 when I started the YouTube channel, and then like 2021 or 2022, I started doing it for Onyx Path for the actual plays and things.
And a lot of your
That's about
YouTube
it, really.
content is focused more on like review, theory crafting. Well, how would you, I guess, describe? Because
So,
actual
yeah,
play is not the majority of your YouTube content, correct?
it isn't. Most of my content is what I used to call beyond D&D, because my hope was to help expand people's horizons to other games. At the time, I was doing a lot of Chronicles of Darkness, and I had a few like favorite like pick me up games or one shot game type things that I would plug. So it was all really about like just being an avenue for people to pick up a video, watch it, and feel a lot more comfortable playing those games without having played them or only playing Dungeons and Dragons or the more popular games out there.
Sweet, sweet. So yeah, and that's at it's the awkward GM or awkward GM.
Awkward GM Corbin, I think. I think I had the whole name selected because I was like, there's someone who does Fortnite called the Awkward GM, and then there's someone who does there's a thing about the Game Master as a like YouTube kids villain or something that pops up.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we could have a whole conversation about branding choices too, I'm sure. And Kelly, you've had Dork Tales going for some time now.
Yeah, so we started doing online broadcasting. We had a little like in my living room studio to start, and we started doing that in 20, I want to say 2017, for the Extra Life Children's Miracle Network charity. We started doing some like Dungeons and Dragons there. And then we transitioned into doing that like more table focused rather than just like the really awkward round table setup we had originally. It was so cute. But we moved completely online to like everybody being in their own in little home cubicle using Zoom when the pandemic hit, and we just never went back because it's just way more convenient. Because a lot of our games are costumed, it's so handy to have multiple bathrooms. You know, everybody has their own bathroom. The
Yep.
best. You know, nobody has to wear pants. Like even for each other's comfort, you know, it's
Yeah.
great, you know, helps us play with people like some of my players are on the East Coast of Canada, which is actually like an hour ahead of East Coast time.
Right.
So that's wild being able to play with somebody who's almost what 2,500 miles away, 3,000 miles away. And it's just so cool. We tried it back in the day when I was living in Japan, and just technology has come such a long way since like 2013.
Really has.
Really
Like
has.
the lag and just the video quality, oh, it's so good now. But yeah, so it's what I do for a living now, so it's pretty cool. Mostly actual play stuff.
Which is wild and awesome to think about. Being able to kind of monetize this. It's an interesting industry that's popped up over the last decade
Yeah.
or so.
Yeah, it absolutely terrifying. Cannot recommend it enough, but would not recommend it to the faint of heart. You'll develop an anxiety disorder. It just like trying to keep your thumbnails accurate. It's great.
I'm very jealous that you're able to make a living off of this.
Oh man, it's razor margins, but
I
like
bet,
it's
I bet.
it's it's good.
It depends.
It's fun.
It depends. Like I tell people when I talk about my freelance income, it depends on how you define a living.
Right.
There are jobs.
I do a lot of side gigs to help fill the coffer.
Right.
So
There are jobs that pay
Yes.
better, but aren't maybe quite as
yeah,
meaningful.
like McDonald's.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, indeed. And I personally, I started. God, I had forgotten until you just mentioned it when you were describing your stuff. I actually started when I was still making films. I had an office, and we would get in and we would record us sitting around a table playing. I had like 3 or 4 different cameras going at once, and I would cut those together for YouTube. And that was
You still have those up?
2016. Oh, I don't think I do. I'm sure I have them somewhere.
Oh,
But I don't think they're still up on my
pull them out
YouTube.
for a throwback Thursday. I want to see them.
Maybe I will. Yeah, I'll see what I can dig up. It was a lot of fun stuff. I ran Palladium Rifts for a little while,
Ooh.
which is always fun to watch people play. Um, No, yeah, and then I started freelancing for Onyx Path, and then I was like, by that point, I already had my Twitch channel, and we had been doing Extreme Drowis, which was started off as like a all cosplayer, all drow D&D campaign, but we also had no cameras because the whole vibe was we're all cosplayers, but we don't want to put on makeup. So like
You got to commit, Travis.
we
You
started
got to
off and
commit.
there's no cameras, and then it was like episode 30 or something like that when we finally put cameras out there, and nobody wore costumes because we're like it's all drow. It wouldn't be maybe great. Yeah, it was.
That has gotten better
lot of
too.
fun.
Since Baldur's Gate 3, drow are now kind of like a purple.
It's true.
Yeah,
When
they,
we
little-
they course corrected pretty good on that one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's
That's a good one.
that was one of the things on Dork Tales because we're always costumed, and it was like, well, I guess nobody's ever playing a drow.
I'm
You know?
also reminded
And now
of
it's like, oh, Minthara.
one of the D&D episodes of Community, where Ken Young was playing.
playing a drow. Yeah.
That is not available anymore on any streaming service.
Really?
They took it down.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, they took it down.
The act-
You have to buy it from YouTube if you want to watch it, or some
yeah.
streaming service. Like you have to pay for it, basically.
Okay.
the actress who plays Shirley like has come out and said like the whole joke was making fun of people who would do that. It's not
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
That requires
her-
subtlety
her-
and nuance to appreciate.
it,
Not
it is
everyone
hang-
has those.
It's
true.
hanging a lantern on it.
Mhm.
It's true. But no,
Oh.
if I recall properly, most of ours, when we did the art for the characters, most of them were purple or like gray. I'll see if I can find. I'm sure I have some of the old art laying around from that.
Nice.
But it was a long stream. It was the idea. We started off. It was really fun. We were first level. Everybody started off as first level characters, but the first scene of it was the big fight scene at the end of Out of the Abyss. So like it started off like you're all in Menzo Perez and the city's falling apart. What are you doing? There's a demon lord over there. Don't try to fight it. You know, so
Or do.
it was a fun kickoff. But yeah, so then I had that stream going, and then I started freelancing for Onyx Path. And I was like, we could do these actual play things. And Rich was like, "Sure, go ahead, set it up. Get out of here, kid. You're bothering me."
I feel like it's worked out for you guys a lot.
It's worked out. It's been a wild and crazy 6 years now. We've been doing this.
I think so. Yeah, about that.
Yeah. And hard to believe, but yeah. Time does fly. So to drop back into the one question that we've gotten so far, can you give any links and tips for DMs on how to both set up a PC and tools needed for streaming, as well as how to search for players who are willing to be streamed? Kelly, I know I saw you doing a little bit of answering in the chat, but technical stuff aside, I know everybody has their favorite tech stuff. By all means, feel free to recommend what you want to recommend tech-wise. But player recruitment, do you have any thoughts on that?
I heavily vet my players. The majority of people on Dork Tales are people that I played with in real life prior to becoming a streamer. And anybody who has joined, like usually they have to have some clout, like they, run the streams on Onyx Path or something.
Mhm.
So besides that, like I'm really careful because this is my income. So I don't want anybody to come on and like just, stink up the place with like hateful ideology, racial slurs, anything like that. So I'm very, very careful, especially because it's a live performance. That said, there are tons of discords with tabletop groups. The Onyx Path Discord is a place that exists, and you can go there and you can like put in. Most of these places have like looking for group channels. Hell, even the Dork Tales Discord has one of those. So see if anybody wants to get in on a stream. I would say heavily vet people. Make sure that everybody is on the same page. Do consent forms and do session zeros. It's not going to make it perfect, but it will help.
All good advice. All good advice. How about you, Corbin? Do you have any thoughts on that? Anything to expand on that?
So part of the benefit of doing stuff with on Onyx Path is that I get to network with other streamers and people of that sort, so I can send messages being like, well, actually, I do this for every one of my games typically, is like, so long as I'm having a good, I feel like we can get schedules going and the tech is working well, because sometimes it's not personal issues. Sometimes it's just you're in another part of the world and the lag is so terrible that we're talking over each other too much. But like, I'll send a form to people saying, hey, I had a really great time working with you on this project. Let's work together sometime in the future. So I've actually had that built up for quite a while, and I do it with my friends too. I'll send a form to them being like, hey, you did really well with this. Let me hook in with you and see if you'd be willing to do an actual play. I did try to do streams with friends and family and stuff like that, and the problem really just comes down to scheduling 99% of the time. I will say I do Kelly does like the vetting people as best as I can. Um, One thing I find very good is if you're asking for like even just playing with random people online, I find if you ask for a consent sheet, it really filters out the people you don't want to play with.
Yeah,
Because
that's
like
a
if
that's a good way. Yes, absolutely. Continue.
if you can't handle if you can't handle you can't handle one of my game sessions. Sorry.
Yeah,
Seriously.
definitely having something like that helps you weed out a certain amount of undesirable participants, because if somebody doesn't want to fill out a safety, consent form, or have a safety discussion, or as I like to call them, calibration tool discussion, then yeah, they're not somebody you want to share your screen with, or your platform with, for that matter. How about you, Scott? Any
I
tried and
mean,
true?
in addition to the Onyx Path Discord and the other Discords, gaming company Discords in general, I also have a private Discord that is where I do a lot of the organizing for whatnot, and I also have a Patreon that is associated with my studio, patreon.com/Simulacra Studios. And a part of the perks of the Patreon is that you get access to the private Discord, and the first round of any casting calls goes off on my private Discord. So people who I've worked with before, plus the patrons, always get first shot at it. And if I don't know you, then you'd obviously do go through a vetting process, a consent form. I go so far as to put the "Are you a Nazi?" question on there, just to really make sure. But yeah, that's my primary go-to. And then if I need to go further out, then I'll go to Discords where I think people who will enjoy the game that I'm playing will be.
Oh,
Yeah.
and that's there's something I wanted to mention too. If I actually do look out for YouTube channels, new starting YouTubers and stuff like that, to see if they um like, I'll reach out and talk to them and try and like see if they'd be interested in collaborating and stuff like that. That's how I collaborated with Kelly, though collaborating not him as a new channel, him as a veteran.
Well, and that brings up
On the Stream Wars.
that brings up another interesting point, though, which is if you're interested in acting as a player, one thing that I would recommend looking at doing is, if you don't have any sort of a online presence, start up a Twitch channel or a YouTube and do some solo content. Now, whether that be directly like walking through a solo RPG, or game prep, or even just 5-minute reviews of game books that you're into, something that you can um, point other people to and say, here's what I've done so far. Here's my vibe. That's handy if you're looking to be a player that's joining an existing stream group, but also if you're trying to put a stream group together but you have no previous recording, you can at least show them, like, hey, this is the type of content I've done before. I would like to extend out into actual play, and then I think that helps maybe assuage some of those concerns that are valid that people will have about whether or not you are someone that they want to share a screen with. Let's see. Let's just real quick to respond because I just saw the question pop up. Gracie Beloved, welcome to the channel. Let's see, it's your first time chatting. Thanks for being here. I love the idea of solo RPGs. Do you mean somehow RP for yourself, or do you and plus one? Either one works, but there are several RPGs out there that are built for solo play.
There's a fantastic one from the Lord of the Rings engine called the Strider edition,
Neat.
where you just play as Aragorn, and it's like, you can't do better than that. Like
Nice.
just be Aragorn by yourself.
Yeah, I think the favorite one that I've played is called Merger, where you're like basically Cthulhu corporate, like trying to navigate various mergers and acquisitions for evil corporations. That was pretty fun.
Evil.
There are also various systems place for converting games into solo RPGs. I think Mythic Game Master Emulator and Ironsworn are two big ones. As if you say want to do stuff for Onyx Path, and they don't really have solo rules for anything as far as I know, so you could probably do a game with that system on top of an Onyx Path system.
Yeah, there are some systems that are designed specifically for porting in other settings. I know there's a couple other good ones. There's like a Micro D6, I think it's called. They have some pretty cool little game books out for it. And then there's another one that had just sprung up to mind and has fallen out as quickly as it came running through. But the point is, if you go to Drive Through RPG and you just look up solo RPG, you can find plenty of them. But that said, if you have a plus one, if you have somebody that you trust, that you can share that screen with that's willing to do that, then that's another great opportunity. One of the cool things about this art form is that there's no real right way to do it. You know, the right way is like what's engaging for you and the people that are engaging with it, right? There are some things that are objectively wrong to do. But there's no real right way to handle it. But diving into that, though, we have another question. Speaking of which, we'll kick this one off with Scott. How do you move a campaign forward if your players move in a direction you absolutely did not expect?
Well, the tried and true method is to go by the seat of your pants, vamp until you think of a good idea, and run with it. I prefer the more advanced technique, which is take whatever preparation that you have for the thing that you did expect them to do, and vamp until you can figure out a way to make that content exist in the direction that the players have gone.
Yep.
That way you don't waste preparations. It does take a little bit of on-the-fly thinking and like reorganizing and narrative math to do so. But if you don't feel comfortable with just, taking that horse by the reins and following it where it goes, whole hog, then just like doing the best you can to repurpose what you have prepared. And that's the great thing about RPGs is that there's no script manager who's going to get mad at you for completely changing things on the fly.
Yeah, there's the NPC you had planned for the next encounter can just as easily be in the town that the players decided to go to if they don't go to the place where you have all the neon lights pointing towards, hey, go here.
Yeah.
You just,
Here lies flesh out content.
Right. Exactly. Anything to add to that, Corbin?
One of the things, well, two things mainly. One, there's the thing about if you're a writer, you can be a planner or a pantser, which is flying by the seat of your pants. I'm more of a person who flies by the seat of my pants. Oftentimes, I'll do some planning preemptively, but 90% of the time, I know it's going to go off the rails as soon as it meets the enemy, which are the players. No, but the second thing, and this is something that's been really working out for me, is always making sure that my players, at end of a session, I'll ask my players, where do you want next session to go? And that can be directly or indirectly through narrative. And that's how I plan for my next session is I'll take what they said in that last bit of time, and then I'll start doing work on it for the next one. And my only rule with that is that we keep to that agreement a bit. So like my last Accursed in Boston session, I said, okay, the guy gives you two options. You can either go to the 13th floor of a hotel or a haunted amusement park. Which do you choose? And they chose the 13th floor, and that's what we're doing next session. That's what I've been planning for the last 2 weeks now, or week now.
Nice. How about you,
I-
Kip? Oh, go ahead. Did you have something?
Yeah, I just had another thing to add. You can also run Trinity Continuum Aeon and have a clairsentient player, in which case you can just tell them where the plot is.
That's true. That is one of the many benefits of Trinity
That's handy.
Continue. How about you, Kelly? Any
So on top
Seven.
of, I guess I would just say that like if you are really stumped by something, all of the things you've heard so far are great. You can also just let them know that they stumped you. Nothing makes a bunch of players, a certain type of player, feel cool as going, aha, I gotcha. But like in a fun way, not like in a gotcha, but like a wow, okay, I was not expecting that. I'm gonna need 5 minutes. Let me recalibrate. All right, we're good. People like they love hearing that. The other thing is that if they're going off in a completely different direction than you're expecting, you can always talk to them out of character after a game.
Mhm.
Like run with it for the time being, but do ask what they want for future sessions, like Corbin was saying, or say like, hey, I thought we were doing like a military fantasy thing, and it seems like we're going more of a heist direction. Is that something we want to pursue, or is this just like a one-off that you guys want? And your players will hopefully tell you what they want on their menu. It's, if you know what they want for dinner, it's easy to cook for them. So I would just talk to them. But I also am a pantser, so I just vamp until I painted myself into such a corner I would panic and have to ask them. So that's me.
Yeah, just to sort of piggyback on that, I guess. I rarely plan a game. I premise a game, but I rarely plan a game. So, I'll say, hey, we're going to be doing this system. I want to explore X, Y, Z. Like, not to be a total self-promoting, self-promoter, but I have a game right now that's up on Start Playing, and it's for M20 Sorcerer, and the idea is that it's small town sorcerers. It's a group of sorcerers who are protecting their little rural community from whatever threats may arrive. That's pretty much all the planning I've done for that game. It'll be sort of a freak of the week thing, and I'm sure I'll have some sort of overarching plot. I'll introduce them to an enemy that they really will come to hate, and then that'll be the arch nemesis or whatnot. So really just kind of making sure you have a solid premise and then places to go from it. But if I'm running like a campaign, like a pre collected set of adventures, I'll just let them know straight out, like, listen, I'm running a campaign, so I may be a little bit more aggressive with bumpers. I don't want to put you on rails, but I might be like, we all sat down to play this published book. We all discussed we were going to play, so maybe don't run off to the next continent over while we're trying to solve these problems.
I'm
Things like
noticing
that.
there's some stuff in the chat about how like the story path system has the aspiration system, which is really
Mhm.
good for forming the rails and getting players going where players want to go.
100%. Yeah, and it's uh, just great for the story guide because now you don't have to think about your plot beats. Your players are giving them to you, and they will work for them because they want the XP that comes along with it.
Sweet XP.
So yeah, exactly. Another question, just to bounce back before we get too far ahead to a previous talking point. Have you created a list of questions or a guide on how to vet players for stream play? Kelly, do you have any specific like a form that you filled out, or is it more just like a set of things you think about?
It's a set of things I think about. I also, I never tell somebody that I'm thinking of adding them to a normal stream. I'll usually invite people in to like charity games or to one shots after I have properly vetted them to the point that I feel comfortable having them on stream. So I get mine a lot through networking and through, like, if they're already being broadcast, you can go watch their performance, you can go get in a call with them, chat them out, and so on like that. But I never tell people when I'm going to invite them into a game. I usually put them in a one shot and I staff it with a bunch of producers. And their job is to play the crap out of them and see what they can do. So they know that they're moles the entire time. So I like to do it the whole, like, do we like this person for this? Do they get, what's your thought on that? No?
Nice.
No, you don't think that the chemistry is good? That's fine. Okay, but maybe for another game? Okay. You're like that kind of thing. So that's what I do. I do it like uh section 31, I guess.
Very cool.
Torture and war crimes.
I mean, yeah. How do you do your games?
I mean, you know,
I thought this was the Onyx path.
I usually let the players do the torturing and the war crimes, but
Why let them have all the fun?
How about you, Corbin? Do you have like any formal?
Oh yeah. I have my formal list. A lot of stuff like, okay, give me your pronouns, give me your best way to contact you through email or Discord is usually my favorite. Whether or not you're fine with audio and video recording, which you should be usually for my streams, because none of them ever not have video. Though if you use a VTuber model, I'm fine using that. But the main things, not just like when your availability is, but what you prefer with gameplay and genre. So some people don't like horror, so I like won't invite them to a Curseborn game, but I might invite them to a Trinity Continuum game. And some people might like, I use combat, investigation, and social as the three pillars of it, which are like combat, intrigue, and influence in story path. So those are my metrics for, if you like doing this, you might be better in this group than that group. But also chemistry between people is really hard to define. So like I'm rolling the dice more so than Kelly, I think, in that regard. I feel like Kelly's method is a lot better at getting a good sense of the chemistry between people.
We do a lot of crying on Dorktail, so it helps to be able to do the casting director approach, you know?
Yeah.
Or I almost said casting couch approach.
That's
Oh, no.
that's a
Slightly
whole different method. Yeah.
Well, also leads to crying, but
do you
anyway.
not? Generally speaking, that's probably true. Scott, do you have any sort of like a questionnaire or a litmus test?
Other than like the general consent questionnaire, because I think, like Corbin mentioned before, like if someone's gonna hit a wall with that, then like filling out that kind of information, then that's a very good first filter. Session 0 is also a very good technique that I use for that. Like if I'm playing with someone I don't know, I make it very explicit, what will and will not be tolerated, in terms of, stuff that I wouldn't want to put out on something associated with my name. And yeah, a lot of sometimes I will, if I know that like someone that who I do know knows the person, I'll do like traditional kind of back channel vetting in that manner. But yeah, all techniques previously mentioned also very good to use.
For sure. I can say in terms of personally, when I'm running a game, I generally headhunt. Like I go to people and ask them to be in a stream. When I'm running like a game, there's we'll handle things during session 0 or whatever. Like if it's for like a start playing game or just like a personal game, I'll ask questions during session 0 and we'll have discussions about it. But like in terms of like getting people on a stream, if it's a stream I am personally running, I am actively recruiting the players that are on it. So I have gone to them. It means if I've never actually played in a game with them before or spoken to somebody who has, I've probably watched them in actual plays or I've probably watched their TikToks or whatever. I've gone and done the homework. If it is in the case of as someone who is like directing programming for a channel for the Onyx Path Twitch, I have people write pitches, and then we discuss what they need. We discuss what the rules of the channel are, things along those lines. And then once somebody has shown that they can run a game on the channel and adhere to the rules, then it's pretty much like open door. You know, you know what our schedule is. Come on in, hang out. You know, once they're a known entity, that's fine. Which is another reason why I encourage people, if you're interested in running one of our games online, or you know, other content too. It doesn't have to be actual play. If you're interested in doing a show where you showcase your community content, how you build it, we've had those on the channel before. If you're doing a show where you're interviewing creators, we've had those on the channel before. Definitely do reach out to us through that Google form that I pasted in the chat a little bit earlier, and pitch your idea. You know, and if we say thanks but no thanks to the first one, pitch another one. You know, that's how you get in.
Oh, on that note, if you're going to be doing that, the best thing that I found when dealing with you guys, I started talking about you like you're not here. Have an outline for the entire campaign, chronicle, whatever. Like even if it's point form, let them know where you think it's going to go. They really like that.
Yeah.
Like that's how I got in at first, way back in the day with a Scion game that was set about saving Christmas.
Yep.
I was like, these are the steps. I think it's going to go this way. And they were like, oh, sounds good. Right.
Yeah, because I mean, we want to know that you know can string together some ideas in a way that makes sense. You know, and again, it's not a huge barrier to entry, as long as you're willing to do that bit of work. So next up, question wise, is there a story or campaign based on a book, movie, or TV show that you wish you could run on stream? First off, I'll say I just would run it. So I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
Just file the serial number off.
Yeah, watch anything I've ever run. It's probably cribbed from some story that I want.
Yeah.
It's not cribbed. It's a pastiche, Travis. It's a pastiche.
Is that how that
all
works?
right?
I mean,
Yeah, it is. It's inspired by. Come on, same as Star Wars.
Good artists borrow, great artists steal. Is that what they say?
Absolutely.
I've
Be a
definitely
good thief.
run games where my players, I try and run very obscure stuff, but when I'm running, one of my favorite games to run is what I call Rodeo Randy, which is just Five Nights at Freddy's with the serial numbers piled up.
Right. And I mean, to be fair, we live in a day and age where, like, every other day, some book or property is getting its own role-playing system.
Sure.
Like, so, like, you don't really have, like, find one that, try and find one that doesn't have one nowadays that you can either, like, straight up run or file serial numbers off and run with a different system that you like.
Return of the Living Dead just got one announced.
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
Like, what? No offense to the people making that game, but why does that need a game?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
I did Magnus Archives and what was it? The
Old Gods. Old Gods is a good game.
That was great.
Well, the other thing though that I think people sometimes get caught up with when you're trying to run a game, it's a very different proposal than trying to write a game.
Yeah.
When you're running a game, you don't have to worry about copyright. Originality does not have to be your strong suit. The originality of running the game doesn't come in your premise. It comes in the interactions, the moments that are built at the table. You know, if I say we're all going to run a game and we're going to play Scion and it's going to be origin level, but you're going to be a bunch of scientists in a research station in Antarctica. And then I introduce a shape-shifting creature from the other worlds or whatever, right? The minute that interacts with the players, it's no longer just the thing. Because now they will start bringing their own flavor to it. And I don't have to worry about, a cease and desist from John Carpenter.
I don't think I've ever heard of any actual play getting any kind of copyright issue with, like, running any kind of IP.
And I heard a legend about it, but it was something really egregious. Like they were using a lot of assets and art and stuff that was a little beyond fair use. So just don't use other people's art unless you're sure you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Or maybe ask them.
Yeah, I think what is it? Level level up to level 3 or something like that.
XP to level 3.
XP to level 3. They reached out to Bethesda for their Fallout actual play that they did, and that was before the Fallout role-playing game actually existed. Which, crazy enough, those videos have more views than the actual official Modifius RPG, which is just crazy to me.
Yeah, it's
Dude, and I mean, really, like, it's free advertising. So
Yeah, it
long as you're
is.
not putting out something that's hateful,
Mhm.
like, it's free advertising. Most companies, and reach out to role-playing companies too. Oh, hey, if you're a streamer, reach out to role-playing game companies, except for that one big one who never answers anyone's emails. But like, reach out to Onyx Path, reach out to companies like Free League as well, and like a bunch of like the other like medium to big names. They'll give you PDFs a lot of the time to work with. They'll allow you to use art assets on your streams. Like, they will support you if you're a streamer doing stuff for them.
yeah.
It,
I assure you, there are no companies in this business, with the possible exception of the of Hasbro, which I will maintain, and will die on the hill of. D&D is not a tabletop role playing game; it just occupies a similar space to one. There, it's a different industry.
I see.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
clip that. But no, role playing game companies love you to be playing our games and talking about our games and sharing our games with people. If you're ever concerned about whether or not you're going to have an issue, reach out to the company on their website. Chances are good. Not only will they be thrilled that you're running a game, but they will throw assets at you to do so. You know, again, as long as you can show that you're not just, going to then immediately turn it into, third-rate cosplay or something like that. As long as you can show
So
that you're a trustworthy entity and you're not a monster, probably be in good shape.
But if you're a
Yes.
monster, you get what you pay for, man. Like,
Yeah.
Valid.
I know a lot of companies, not just role-playing game companies, where they would give free merch to people for like competitions and tournaments and things like that, and then find out later that the person they gave it to was just keeping it for themselves. Like, don't do that. Be nice. Give out to the community. It's
Yeah,
all about spreading the love.
yeah, and definitely I would say, that to piggyback off of that, be reliable. Do what you say you're going to do. It's just are all normal professionalism stuff, but it really will burn you if you don't, and probably burn you for a long time, and in a lot of ways you might not expect.
it's a small community.
It is a
Yeah.
pretty small
Yeah.
community. Next up on the question list, have you run campaigns where the villains have either a timeline of events or a response matrix? And if so, what were the results? And that sounds, I think that's a Corbin question, but I'll let you answer it first, Corbin, and then we'll dance around. Have you?
Why is it a Corbin?
Because that seems like something you would do. I mean that,
Have
and
a
I mean that in the
response
nicest.
matrix.
I mean that in the nicest way.
I
But
don't
that
do
seems
a
like something you would do.
I don't typically do a response matrix. I do try to keep, like, I do what the aspirations are for players for my villains typically, and then I'll have my villains react to what the players do oftentimes. I put an answer in there where it's like, if the in the chat, if the players stop the villain from getting MacGuffin X, then they're going to go for MacGuffin Y because that's their backup plan. It's not. It's one time I managed to pull off a really convoluted villain plan, but I was like sitting there Thanatos gambiting it for my entire, like, it was running in the background of my mind for an entire week of like, ah, yes, I'm doing all this stuff, and hopefully my players won't just kill this villain outright and make all this work for nothing, essentially.
How about
But
Yeah.
but I don't write out plans. I just sort of like step in the shoes of my villain for a second and say, what would they do?
how about you, Scott?
Yeah, I think my plan for this is, I mean, I have a mind that can run multiple personalities, having their plans and agendas. It's something I can do. I don't really plan it out. But one of like the biggest things that I try and rely on is actually comes from my days of running Boffer LARP. Um, Anything that does not happen within like the eyesight of the players is wasted, like just faffery. So like whatever your villain is doing, it should be within the reach of your players. And as such, plans meet PC chaos, and then story happens. So I try not to do a lot of background stuff. I try and keep the action focused on where the players can affect things, so that there's not like third and fourth order like actions from off stage actors. And I just generally keep in mind the intelligence level and capability of whatever antagonist is around and doing things, and try and react appropriately to whatever nonsense the players come up with or throw my way.
I like the word you use there, react. When I am 99% of the time when I'm running a game, all of my SGCs are reacting to player action. They're doing their own shit. And then the players are going to come in and have some reason to get in their face, and they're going to react to that most of the time. Of course, sometimes you have a thing where like a player's character is being targeted by a nemesis or something like that. That's a little different, but if you root your enemies in reaction, if you know what they want, that can just be a guide to reacting to the player activity. And then you don't really have to think too hard about like what's the big plan. Big plan is make players stop being annoying to my plot, and then and then get on with my life in the villain's eyes, right? Like that's their plan, is make this speed bump get out of my way so I can get on with my business, whatever that business is. Whatever that business is doesn't necessarily matter. If the player characters don't know what that business is, they only know that this person's, doing, this person's been killing people. Why is he killing people? If it matters to the story, work it in. If it doesn't matter to the story, then it doesn't matter to the story. If that makes sense. How about you, Kelly? You got any thoughts on that?
This is all great. Like I 100% agree that I like to get into my villains' heads, too much to my detriment a lot of the time, but then have an organic reaction to whatever the players throw at them, and have that kind of just naturally flow. Like I don't have like a spreadsheet that says, oh yes, if they do this, then this. I think that would take too much time to develop rather than just getting into the psychology of the character.
Well, and also nothing kills a game faster than, oh shit, let me look up and figure out how this person's going to react to a thing, right?
Exactly.
Like you got to just be that stuff. If you got to
Well, and
check a
sometimes
rule
you
in a
get
fight, check a
really
rule in a fight. But like,
Yeah. And when you don't have that and you have to kind of like lean on your internal characterization, sometimes you can get really strange reactions that you hadn't expected, where sometimes the villain might, instead of just be like, I'll send another wave of goons, they'll go, I'm going to hire these guys. That's the easiest way to get them out of trouble, is to pay them.
right?
Mhm.
You give them
And then you
the
have right?
Thunderbolts ending.
Oh God. Yes.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
God, the Thunderbolts was so good.
It
Why
was
was it so
very good.
It was definitely good. We are about 5 minutes or so from the end. We're 8 minutes from the end. So I got two more questions here, and then I think we're gonna put a button on it. And we'll kick this one off with Kelly.
Oh,
When you're world building, what do you
yes.
do if the world that you have built is too big for the player base that sticks around?
Get a bigger player base. I have people on the Dork Tales audience that have helped me maintain and continue to update a huge wiki. So the world is always able to be referenced for future games. I have games that have been running for 6 years now that tie into other games throughout timelines of upwards of 1,000 years in my D&D campaigns. And like I'm a writer by breeding trade and all of that stuff. So I'm always looking for ways to flesh out lore. That said, if it does grow too big, I mean, keep notes. Use Google Docs, use something like that, and then you can always reference the world building in a future game as a historical element. Like, this happened. Cool, it's there, you have it. I find wikis and other documents like that to be really useful sources because you can just browse through them quickly and go, especially for myself when I forget who some NPC in season 3 of a show is, and I have to go look, they went and talked to Gertrude the knife, right? All right, cool, that's Gertrude. Then I don't have to look through the honest to God. Don't do what I do. I am surrounded by notebooks for my games. Like right now, these are just the games that I have to reference this week. And I've got more over here. Use a digital thing with a search key. It's so useful, and then
PDF
your
search
future
key,
players can
sure.
use it, especially if they're lore hounds.
Absolutely. Yeah, searchable things are very helpful. Any additional thoughts on that one, Scott?
On that one, I think I I don't I very rarely do like a full homebrew setting. I will generally go with some sort of established lore or established setting and world build within it. Um, because it's very useful for me to have like official lore that I can reference and keep consistent with the stuff that I build. Um, so it's not really a matter of I don't really run into that problem of that because I have this wealth of data to draw on from the official books. And in generally, I just try to keep the story and the what is relevant where the players are, no matter how many of them are in the particular game. What's important is where the players are.
Sweet. Absolutely. I agree 100%. Corbin, any insight into that?
I sort of do what the Star Wars universe has been doing recently, which is just if I'm taking a character from a previous adventure campaign I've run and putting it into another one, um, they're always the players are given enough information for it to be relevant within that session or campaign. Um, I've had uh, I've had my Chronicles of Darkness campaign run through 5 different game lines and then a mixed game, and it was all within the same consistent universe. And my Curseborn games, A Cursed in Boston, Family Feud, all of them have characters that cross over and things of that nature. But the only people who are going to benefit it are from you, the audience, if you can recognize that there's some characters from previous games I've run. The players don't need it. It's mainly for me for the most part because I can just say, "Oh, we need a shadow broker or an information broker for something," and I can just pick them from there.
And I guess my take on that would be, um, I put it on the story path nexus. If you build out things that wind up becoming unwieldy for your current campaign, or the players go in a different direction, or it just winds up not being pertinent at that point. I think repurposing that information to that end, any world building you do, if there's a community content program for the world that you are playing in, use it. It helps. It's a nice way to get a few bucks in your pocket for one thing, but also it really does help you think about uh, story crafting in a way that is, I think, useful at the table. Because if you're trying to think about how do I take these elements and make them useful for other people to put in their games, you're also doing the sort of thinking that maybe you weren't doing beforehand, or a little bit, or maybe I guess I would say maybe more intensely or from a different perspective than you were doing beforehand when you're just thinking about it for your game. It's a really good skill to develop, and there's a virtually zero barrier to entry. So I would definitely recommend checking out community content programs for those. And then last, this can be rapid fire because we're almost out of time. In plotting, is it helpful to plot a win state scenario where the villain of the piece wins and then have the players react to it? Corbin, do you think win state plotting is
That is perfectly fine. Apocalypse in fiction typically is it's not that the world is destroyed, it is the world has changed to something that the players or protagonists don't recognize, which is still a good place to go to for fun for a new
100%?
campaign.
100%. Kelly, condensed answer.
Yeah, stories need stakes. That's it.
Stories need stakes.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, yeah.
And a side salad once in a while. How about you, Scott?
I don't tend to do it in terms of putting. Yes, it can be incredibly fun. I have several like scenarios that I've run to like illustrate my thoughts of it, but we don't have time to talk about them. But it can be fun to have an apocalypse scenario.
Sure, absolutely. And is it helpful to plot one? I would say when it is, yeah. When it's not, it's not. You do with that what you will. Every game is going to be different. A lot of it's about what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do with the game? And then taking the steps to make that the most likely outcome. And acknowledging, as Corbin said earlier, no plan survives contact with the enemy and no game survives contact with the player. That said, we are a little bit over time, so I'm going to get out of y'all's hair. Thank you all so much to everyone on this screen, not only for being here right now, but for all the help that you provide during OPPCon and throughout the year in helping the Onyx Path be an awesome, fun, inclusive, good time for all parties concerned. I want to thank everybody who tuned in, whether you're watching live or on the way on the VOD later. And I would encourage you all to hang out. We are going to be having a panel with the Bodhana Group talking about both the Bodhana Group's work and the Branch Riders game that they have forthcoming. That'll be here in about 30 minutes. And until then, I'm going to raid you over to Plastic Age Plays, where Chaz Calendar is running Scion Masks of the Mythos. So thanks again, everybody, for being here. Have a good one. And I will see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Boy.